Welcome to Wellthing Talks. I am your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, bringing you real-life conversations from Silicon Valley or somewhere around the world. We will talk about disruptors, angel investments, venture capital, and of course, family offices. Join me along with my children, their families, friends, disruptors, and investors as we explore the fascinating world of creating wealth in a completely different and authentic way. Hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to welcome my dear friend Preetha Ram to the podcast. Preetha, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Alicia, thank you. This is a great opportunity, and I really look forward to talking about some of these things you asked me to talk about because they're deeply personal and they mean a lot to me.
So for anybody that comes to Silicon Valley, Preetha is the great connector, VC, super smart, super funny, and like a soul sister to me. So let's just dive into what is it that you're doing now and how did you get here?
Thank you, Alicia. I like to say I've kind of wandered around, but like the great Tolkien quote, all who wander are not lost. But I've been a scientist, an entrepreneur, and I'm now here, a dean at Emory College, a dean for science, and now here I am, a VC in Silicon Valley. And so my move into VC wasn't a pivot really. To me, it felt like a quantum leap, Alicia. It was a quantum leap in scale. From scientist to entrepreneur, my first aha moment was when I began scaling my EdTech startup to about 60 million users. And that itself was a masterclass in a monumental single company impact. I saw what impact could be when it's taken to scale, from a classroom with even 100 people teaching Gen Chem at Emory as I did, to these millions of learners on my site. And once you get bitten by the bug, you are bitten. So then I thought of health. I looked at the world's biggest challenge, which was global health, and I realized this is my aha moment, which came out of my startup. I realized I just can't build one company to fix this global health problem. I have to empower many. So in effect, I traded one giant startup headache for a portfolio of about 16 brilliant but still headaches. So becoming a VC was like an ultimate strategy to multiply my impact, going from one successful venture to a portfolio of innovation designed to solve what really is a generational problem. And also along the way, and this is important to us at Pier 70 Ventures, create generational wealth. So it was the lesson of scale and the impact of scale, Alicia, and I realized I can't do this with one company. Does that answer your question, I hope?
Yeah, no, that's a great to do it. That's a way to do it. I mean, I don't think anybody that I have interviewed, that's certainly not my case, has had a clear path to where they are today. They go through here and they said, "Oh, I'm going to find these and then I'm going to do these." And there's everybody that comes to the podcast is somebody that has felt a call to do something bigger. And it's fascinating to see how people
Yeah,
maneuver.
I think what we have to realize and what I tell, people, students, college students and all is that you kind of never know which doors are going to open, but you're just going to be willing and ready to walk through when that door opens. And that's the challenge, right? You and I, well, I've happened on this in some ways, but maybe there was a sense of direction and purpose. Definitely when I was teaching my 100-person Gen Chem class, there was a moment I was thinking, I'm in this amazing university. Emory, the kids there are so privileged. I'm delighted to be there in class with them. But what if there were people around there that couldn't access the many marvelous teachers like we have around me at Emory? And that's kind of what led me to my company, my EdTech company. And so now I'm thinking like you and me, what if we could take this innovation in health, this cure for cancer, this, chronic disease, and sort of ratchet it up? Let's scale it up. How can we do that? And you and I, we look for those innovators who also can execute.
Yeah.
Innovators who execute.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say I'm the grandma of the company. I'm not the mom. You have to figure that's your baby, but it's
That's
really,
a
really
lovely
important.
analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot of those. Um, but let's get back to you. And if you were to, along those lines about how, life tells us, let's go around here. Or I have a horrible sense of direction. Well, you know that because I get lost in my own house. And my kids used to get upset at me and they used to tell me, Mom, stop the car. Do you know where we're going? And I would say, I have no clue, but we're going forward. And I think that embodies the type of founders that we support, but we also want to be there building the road for them or helping them get the boundaries. So, hey, don't get off the cliff. There's a cliff here, or I've been there. So that is it. I don't think life tells you this is the way and then you execute. I think it's a little bit more.
No, I know. Don't you often wish that whenever you come to a crossways, there's these signs that say, Preetha, go here. This will result in whatever you're looking for. But you're right. It is a lot of serendipity and it is a lot of chance. But I think more than that, Alicia, it's because I think it's the prepared mind. You
Yeah.
have to be prepared. It's like I love history of science because I come across so many amazing people that looked at something happening, but they were prepared, like Pasteur. My favorite is the Descartes story. I'll tell you one day about how he discovered Cartesian coordinates. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, another day.
No, but that's really important. There is a theory of intentional behavior, and it says that you take action when you have the intention to act, but you feel prepared to act.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can't act. And I think that is really important in today's world where there's so many different aspects of society that makes you feel you're prepared for something you're not prepared, and gives you that false positive reinforcement that is like, well, really, that you don't have the capacity to do this. You're not prepared. You have to develop that intuitive knowledge as well. So I think it's really, really important. Well, education is important for me, and I think
Hmm.
it's very important to be prepared, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you can take action. Now, talking about preparedness, if you were to write to the younger Preeta about something that you learned in the last, let's say, 20 years, we're not talking age here. What is the things, or what are the things that you would write to your younger self that you learned that you didn't know?
Yeah. I it's sort of tied in together and it's sort of a part of my evolution to who I am. I think the most profound lesson that I wish I knew about a decade ago, maybe 20, I don't know, is you can't solve large problems, global scale problems alone. It's a hubris of youth that yes, I can do all this by myself. So when I did my EdTech startup, I learned, the hard way sometimes the power of collaboration, the power of global collaboration, the power of teams. In my startup, it took a global community of altruism across 60
Yeah.
communities to help those millions of learners. I couldn't have done this by myself, for sure. And so when I think about, and so that's the lesson that I wish I had known because now I'm really finding that's very relevant because you can't change global health. It's too massive, too complex for any single player, for just you or just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It needs all of us. It needs this collective effort. So my focus has shifted to the necessity of building a community of fellow travelers, a network of VCs and founders who share this mission. We're traveling on this road together. We're not just funding companies, particularly at Pier 70, but we're building an ecosystem. I think of it this way. If the problem is generational, maybe the solution must be communal. It's going to take all of us to succeed. So, in a nutshell, I feel the importance of a community has come home to me over and over again. You saw this the last few days. You and I
Yeah.
have been working together. It's it it brings about that scale that we're all hoping for and the solution that we're trying to create for ourselves and everyone else.
That is so relevant. I lived in many countries, and when I moved here, one of the things that I really liked about Silicon Valley was that collaborative environment that is not shared by everybody. A lot of people think, oh, everybody's so, uh, you know, collaborative. That's not true. You find your own tribe like anywhere else in the world, but here there is that spirit of collaboration. And like I used to invest by myself. I had a fund, then I invest by myself. And I always felt I was a lonely person, which is very common in entrepreneurs all over the world. But here
Mhm.
you have a community of other entrepreneurs. They might be working on something else, but it's so important to have a tribe. And that's actually one of the things that I like most about you. And if we want to make a change in the world, we need to also support each other.
Mhm.
How do you think we can manage social change for those people that feel um, that I have encountered? I don't know if you have, but they feel that they can only win by taking from somebody else. So, how do we change society so we can all lift up each other and work together? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I would ask you this question back, Alicia, with another question.
You always do that.
Why do we need to change everybody else? Why can't we just affect change by changing the few, expanding the community, and allowing them to go around and affecting change and convincing others through this? So you and I, we see, um, as you said, some folks that will not be convinced that it can be that the pie is large enough. I think that's what you're saying. A lot of us feel the pie is large enough and no one is crawling on each other
Mm-hmm.
and by stepping on someone. I think we demonstrate that by demonstration, by showing that, here, come and share this with me. If I win, you also win.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change that
Yeah.
approach, but I have encountered it. I think we've got to be true to ourselves and do what we believe in and what is right. And there's plenty. The fabulous nature of the valley is that there are plenty of people who believe that the pie is indeed large enough. So,
Or that we work together to make the pie larger.
and we can work together to make, and we have all these analogies, a rising tide will float all boats. Oh, that is good. I don't swim, so I don't like that analogy.
You don't, oh, we have to change that.
No, no, we're not changing that. Thank you very much.
No, but it is true. And I think for the many people that don't have the capacity to be in the valley, that's a good lesson. You're not alone. You just find your tribe
Yeah,
somewhere else. But
yeah, yeah.
it is, I grew up in a very interesting environment, in a socialist country to socialist parent in a little town where everybody was very communal. We never closed the door, share whatever food we have. So it was a very sharing society. And we sort of felt that people that did business were mean people because they were trying to take something from you. So for me, it was a huge learning in my 30s to realize that, hey, you can make money and you can be a nice person. And I think for the many people that don't have the capacity to be in Silicon Valley, just that realization that we can lift each other and create new wealth together or help each other is really important. We cannot, like you say, we cannot improve healthcare alone. It doesn't happen. We need too many people. So I think for the ones that are not in Silicon Valley, that is the majority of our audience, make sure that you surround yourself and you support each other. That is that are building this collaborative environment.
I think you're right. Also, we show this by example, right? No, we can't convince the rest of the world, but by example, we can amplify this ability to work together, to collaborate. The little community that I built of women investors, of which you are a member. So now we're sharing, we're talking openly and frankly, and we are amplifying our reach. Someone tells someone about a deal who tells someone else, and then we find another person. And I think this sends a very strong signal. And I think to your global listeners, there's no reason any of these communities has to be geographically closed, shall we say?
Yep.
Openness is the same whether it's just in Silicon Valley or it's international. And so reach out to people, reach out to people on your podcast. I'm sure they all feel like you do. And I think we'll see some forward momentum.
Yeah, that's true. So not a lot of people can invest in a company, but a lot of people can support a founder.
Yeah.
You can, from a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of wine or whiskey to sitting down, opening a door to a supplier or a buyer or to another investor. That's something that you and I do very well, and that brings that collaboration. Before I moved here, I used to invest alone, and then the power of investing in a group has been amazing. And I never invest by myself. And if you are in another country and you're an investor, call up other investors and share deals.
Yeah.
That is the best way to grow.
Yeah.
Going back to Preetha, now you're opening another fund, the second one?
Possibly, yes.
Possibly. So tell us a little bit more about your current fund, because we've invested in the same couple of deals.
Yeah. We've done, and that's the power of our community, right? So the current fund has 16 investments. And it kind of ties into my own personal mission.
Mm-hmm.
And every day when I wake up, every single day, what fuels me to get on to my next meeting or my next conversation is a very personal mission. I'm building a better future for my children and my grandchildren and their children and yours too, Alicia, all of our kids. And the investment, I personally have seen chronic disease ravage my family. And now I'm seeing improvements in healthcare and medicines that could have fixed that. Like, were they alive now? And that's what I want to stop. So my investment thesis isn't a financial document. So in Pier 70 Ventures, we all are driven by the conviction that everyone, our next generation, deserves better health outcomes. So our fund thesis is we build a future of health, which we think is patient-centric, wellness-focused, data-driven, and AI-enabled. And this sense of purpose is the fuel for every deal we choose. And when we think of it in three buckets. It actually used to be three buckets, but I think they're all merging now, and I'll tell you why. It's drugs, devices, and digital. And used to be that digital is a lot of the AI, but now we have AI-driven devices like the one you and I, like Sensor, which we've invested in. And then now drug discovery is getting so, dry lab AI focused. So we believe that AI is that umbrella technology that will drive us towards this future of health. And our 16 companies are sort of divided across all three of these functions. We look for talented, creative thinkers in our founders and our CEOs. We look for, proof of execution ability, proof of traction. And back to your point about collaboration, how we don't do this alone. We have complementary skills across the team. I'm the tech person by and large. I'm also the science geek, with my PhD in life sciences and all that. My colleague is the VC, the corporate, the guy that came from Eli Lilly. So we bring that knowledge of healthcare space, largely into our three areas of investment. And we also have different perspectives on the team. But again, that's great because we have these conversations about, oh, I really like this person, and
Uh-huh.
oh, maybe, they could have been more this or that. And then it's this dynamic, I enjoy a good debate. So this dynamic conversation where we push each other's beliefs, I think it
Hmm.
leads to a stronger investment. And at the end of the day, we are all very comfortable with the decisions we make. We love our founders, and I'm hoping our founders love us. And
I need to ask them. I need
you
to
need
make
to
a
ask
full
them that. Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, you answered the next question that I was going to ask, which is what keeps you uplifted, which is the opportunity to go and make a change in the world. So thank you for
yeah.
adding that before I ask. But now let's talk about the future. Where do you see yourself in the
Oh,
future?
the future. I feel pretty good. I think things are happening, and there's sort of an energy and a momentum building up. I kind of think of the history of science. There was a time, and the moment, there were two moments actually. There was one when this gentleman called Hargobind Khorana discovered the genes or some
Hmm.
DNA, and then in Cambridge they discovered the structure of DNA, and it influenced a whole generation of people thinking, I'm going to do genetics, I'm going to go find the cure for cancer. Before that, I'm a chemist. Before that, the most profound change in our thinking was when they discovered quantum. Max Planck, Oppenheimer, Born, Einstein, all of these guys working together. And I thought that was phenomenal because there was things we didn't know, and then now it can completely change the way we were doing things. So I think we're at that moment now. I think with the convergence of biology and AI, this and physics and every other science, we're putting it all together. We're throwing everything we've known in the past, creating new knowledge. And I think if I if I were to think about the future, we all should be, and that's what I'm working for, a disease-free future. I think we're going to get there. It won't be tomorrow. You and I won't be able to create that probably in our lifetimes. But I think the kind of legacy I want to leave behind, and it's
Hmm.
is perhaps, let's think about this, eliminating, not finding a cure for cancer or Alzheimer's, but eliminating the need. It's kind of
Yeah.
taking this one little step. Can I take one little step towards this disease-free world? Kind of a world where, lifestyle diseases are preventable.
Yeah.
Other diseases are detected and they are fixed even before they become a problem. We
Yeah.
spend trillions, Alicia, we spend
Yeah.
trillions treating people when they're sick. Can we not build a world that saves these trillions by keeping people well?
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
that kind of lines up with our fund strategy and our investments. And I think when it all comes together, it puts a bounce in my step, shall we say, every morning. So anyway, so I think we can do that
I
one
think we
day.
can.
Yeah,
I think we can. Well, if we don't think we can, we
yeah,
will
we
never
won't get
take
there.
steps. So I think the first step is to think that there is a possibility,
Yeah.
and then working together, and then yeah, and then well, at least for me, sometimes it's very useful to have a friend that I can say, "Oh, I screw up." That yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Well, we all
somebody
do.
would
It's
say,
human nature.
yeah, well, yeah. But when I was younger, I didn't think that way. When I was
Well, that's youth, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what brings the energy in young people too. It's like we're invincible. So I don't think I'm invincible, but I think I can do it. So I would go ahead and do it. Yeah. It's really, really interesting to see. Do you see any changes in the youth? Do because I don't have a lot of connection with very young people, except my grandkids who are kids. So do you think there's a change in youth with regards to the last, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years?
Well, they're always changing. Give me one dimension to answer that question about. There's so many. And yeah, the best part about one of the best things about Emory was my constant contact with young minds, young, very smart people, young people. I miss that. But what should we talk about? Which aspect of them has changed, shall I say? I think young people always will be young people, and they've been young people. Socrates wrote about them in his book. And what hasn't changed, I think, over the years, the decades, the millennia, is that they have a sense of energy, like you said, passion. I love the idealism. I love that. The best part about them is that they have this idealism which propels them to do bold, audacious things, that dream what we, with our experience, hesitate. We kind of say, oh, we've seen and done that. It's not going to work. But they don't care. And I love that, because that's, look around the room at the innovators. And so that's great. I think perhaps they are a little worried about their future. They're not thinking health because they're young and healthy right now, but they're thinking, will AI take my job away? Will I have, all this education that I've got under my belt? Will I be able to earn a living? Will I be able to afford a house? Where's my North Star? And to all of them, I say, yeah or no. AI will not take your job away. There always is a shift in the nature of roles and employment, and what you do is not the same as what people used to do. The smart folks, the smart young folks will be looking ahead and thinking, okay, that is a signal. I think you just have to look at signals. So I would encourage anyone that's feeling a little uncertain to go back and channel that idealism, that youthful optimism, and say, let's instead look at opportunities and signals and talk to people and, kind of stay focused on going forward. And that's best for youth, isn't it? They have a forward.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
We do it because we don't feel we have an option, but they do it because it comes natural to them.
Yeah. They have a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a better world, right?
It is going to be a better world. Thank you. Thank you for the optimism. We need that.
Most welcome.
Yeah. Let me wrap up this very uplifting conversation. I always leave our conversation with a sense of energy and happiness and joy. So I'm very appreciative for that. And I'm so grateful that we can share that with the audience. But let me go back to a more spiritual, fundamental question. And I don't know if you know that when I was 13, I fell off a horse and I died. And I came back 4 days later. They sent me back and said, no, we don't want you here.
We don't want you here. You've got work to do, Alicia.
No, well, that's the uplifting part. But in Venezuela, where I grew up, people say, we don't want you here. Get up. So it's the other joke. But have you thought about who is Preetha when you're no longer here? What is the essence that you leave in the world, to the world? Have you thought about that?
Well, we talked about my legacy, Alicia, and that's very concrete. I want to be able to take this one step forward. Who is Preetha? And
Yeah,
what
well,
do I
we talk
leave?
about, like we talk about you, somebody talks about you. Your essence is what's going to transcend, and this is part of what we're doing. So people who have never had the opportunity and the joy to meet you will continue to be influenced by you because your essence gets transmitted.
Well, that is very uplifting. Perhaps I would like to be remembered as someone who was, I think the one word I would like to have people think about is helpful. I start a lot of my conversations somewhere in the middle. I say, well, how can I help you? And I mean it. And I want people to say, she helped me do this, or she helped me by doing this other thing. And that sort of is why, Alicia, I'm happy to connect people, and I'm very proactive about it. I think, okay, you're saying this to me, the person you really should talk to is that. So that to me, I kind of made this, it's a very personal story for me. My father passed away about 10 years ago, and it was his 10-year anniversary a little in August. And I was thinking of reflecting on that decade without him. And I thought, of the things I've been doing in the last 2 or 3 years, and which I would like to continue, I thought the one thing I know that he would be proud of, if he knew, we don't know if he knows, but if he knew, is he would like to see the spirit of helpfulness. So I kind of thought to myself, I want to be able to help 100 people every year. So that's my personal goal. And I think, Alicia, if I did that, they would remember me for that. What do you think? Would that be an essence?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting, and thank you for that. But and we're so similar in so many ways because I always ask, how can I help?
Yeah,
And
you do. You actually do.
I do all the
That's
time.
why we're such good friends.
Yeah, and thank you for helping me setting up this. But it's in any way, shape, or form, and and I think uh, what makes you very unique is not saying how can I help, is the real intention and the execution. And I think you're a great connector, but it goes beyond that because like I remember, little things like how can I cook this or how can I do this? And then you come and you don't connect me with anybody. You tell me, oh, this is how you do that. And we usually there's two things to that. We don't realize the impact we can have in another person. But the other thing is that we've gotten so used to owning something to somebody because they help us that we are getting not accustomed to asking for help. So that is a sign, in my view, of maturity and wisdom. But also we need to free ourselves from the concept that if somebody helps me, I owe them something. And I think that's the refreshing part that you bring, that you really genuinely want to help, but not because you want to get paid back, but it's
No,
because you
I don't. Actually, now I think I should ask for something in return. How about this? Now,
give.
I would like to ask everyone to think about helping someone. It doesn't have to be me. Just sort of pay it forward.
Pay it forward, yep.
Yeah, if you don't have to help me. I'm doing this like you said because I'm not expecting anything in return. But perhaps I would like you to help someone. And I tell that to the folks, the young people that work as our venture fellows. If you think I'm helping you, try to do that again. You'll be growing up, you'll be in jobs, you'll be in positions of power. Remember this, and do the same to other folks around you, not for gain of any kind, but because it's a good thing to do.
Oh my gosh, that is such a powerful message. And I think this is a great way to thank you for spending your
Yeah.
time with
Thank
us.
you, Alicia. You are an amazing role model, and you have
This is about
made.
you. This is not about me.
Okay,
Okay.
fine, but I can say this. Remember, I mean, you and I, we work together, we collaborate together, but you also have an impact on me. And yeah, thank you very much. Otherwise, we'll become like this, trading off compliments, but we won't do that now. But thank you.
Yeah. So here's the thing for the audience.
Yes.
I've been reflecting and you triggered that thought.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help each other, but that is conditional. It's not conditional to receiving help, but it goes back to the theme of this conversation. We need to progress together, not at the expense of each other. and we're willing to do our part. But for us, it's very important that more people would help each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I have a minute, I have two things I need to say now that you triggered this. Number one is a lot of this thinking, and I put this into a perspective of those who are thinking, what's in it for me? If you're in this game of being a startup or a VC, my colleague Sean Hawkins told me this a long time ago when we started working together. He said, this is a relationship industry. When you know someone and there's a level of trust, you invest together like you and I, or they invest in you. So remember that relationships matter, and these little transactional interactions that you're thinking, okay, what am I getting in return for this? I would say don't go as well as when you do have a meaningful relationship.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, I'll give you this example. I went for breakfast. It was JPM. I went for breakfast. I was in this amazing cafe digging into my waffle, and I see these 4 young people, and they're sitting and they're talking, and they're obviously very young. And so I go to them, and I liked it because it was a very diverse team, a young set of people. So I go to them and I said, wow, you guys look like an amazing diverse team of startup entrepreneurs. Are you that? And they said, no, we're actually MBA students from Yale. And Alicia, I went to Yale. So I sat down and I said, here, connect with me. I'm happy to help. So I think I would like everybody to do that. Why don't we do that more often? Anyway, so
that's wonderful. And that's your essence, actually. It's been helpful, authentically helpful. And that's what attracts people to do things with you. As a woman, however, I remember having a conversation with a guy, I can't remember his name. He wrote the Excellence book. He's very well known. He's written a lot of books. And he said, you just need to be nice. And I told him, don't tell people that they need to be nice, because sometimes on the expectations that you need to be nice, people take advantage of you. So you have to have healthy boundaries. And we had a very interesting exchange about that. So I think being helpful is really, really useful. I think we need to figure out a way to support society to be more helpful. And I also think we need to figure out a way to change some aspects from transactional to relationship. I don't know how to do that, but I think that's the way I would like younger generations to view these, because AI is making everything so transactional.
yeah.
That at the end of the world at the end of everything, I want to sit down and see the person, talk to the person. How you feel? Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, we've given your listeners a lot to think about now.
Well, that happens, we're together.
Yeah.
So, Preetha, thank you so much for spending your time with us. How do people connect with you? LinkedIn. We're going to put your information on the
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Yeah, we'll do that. And please do mention, if you're planning to connect with me on LinkedIn, that you heard this podcast, so that I know the origin, because I've told everybody. But thank you for having me, Alicia. This has been a delightful conversation. I hope it's helpful to everybody who's listening in.
So if there's one person that has made a huge impact in my connections in Silicon Valley, is Preetha. We met after I had been in Silicon Valley for 7 years. She's a great connector. And we get along very well because we have a similar approach to life, that it is to use our gift that we have, that is our life, to be useful to others. But at the same time, we need to have healthy boundaries, because we need to uplift others and not at the expense of others. And it goes for us as well. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Preetha is a superb investor and connector. And remember, you don't have to invest in a company to be supportive. Go and make your mark in the world. This is your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, and I'll see you in Wealthing. Thanks for tuning in to our Wealthing Talks. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. To stay connected, visit us at wealthing.com. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, your host, and until next time, yours in Wealthing.